I'll start the presentation, and we will make this available to anyone. If I go through something too fast, my email is in these packets, and we can get that to you as quickly as possible. So without any further ado, we'll get right into it. So people often ask me when did I start, and that's a difficult question to answer because, as you can see here, the board announced on December 21st unanimously that I was the next superintendent, but I didn't officially sign the contract until the next board meeting, January 31st. So I often just say I started in January. And you can see some of the things: operation and maintenance of 181 parks. I wish that was all I had to do, but it's a lot more involved than that. We have golf courses, we have a zoo, several other things. Manage up to 1,200 employees. That's during the peak of our busy season, which we just completed. Had a successful summer once again, and our budget is right at $100 million. And so I did present to the board a 30, 60-day plan, which I'm still working on. It's a little after 90 days, but and part of that plan talked about community outreach, meeting with, during my interview, I said I would meet with every elected official. And boy, did I wish I had counted the elected officials before I made that promise. So as you can see here, well over 100 meetings so far. It's included one-on-one meetings with my board, one-on-one meetings with my executive staff. And all of these have been one-on-one meetings, as I want to give people an opportunity to talk open, honestly, and frankly about what do they enjoy about BREC, but also about areas of potential improvement and partnerships that we can work on. Some accomplishments since sitting in the seat, and again, it's a team effort, but I'll go ahead and take credit for some of this. We were nominated for the 4th year in a row as a national gold medal finalist. That means we're in the top 4 of park and recreation agencies across the world. There are over 10,000 park and recreation agencies, and so we're fortunate to be listed as the top 4 again. We're on the cusp of receiving an unprecedented 6th accreditation. BREC was one of the first agencies that was accredited by the County of Park and Recreation Association, and therefore we can say unprecedented because we were first, and so we'll be one of the first to get accredited 6 times. We did approve a resiliency plan. The board approved that plan earlier this year. Fortunate enough to work with CSRS, who actually did this plan for us pro bono, so that was a great thing. And that just basically tells us how we can continue to use our parks to make the parish more resilient, to be able to bounce back quicker, faster, stronger after natural disasters. Approval of an ADA transition plan. That's part of an accreditation requirement, and so we were able to approve that plan earlier this year. Consultants came in and looked at every doorknob of every BREC facility we have and gave us a plan to make everything ADA accessible. That plan is $20 million. It expands over 20 years. So we'll be spending roughly about $1 million a year each year making our facilities accessible. The board also approved the purchase of Munis financial management software, and that'll allow us to be more efficient, more transparent. It's the same software that City Parish purchased recently that allows them to have the open checkbook, and you can see every check that BREC, that City writes, and hopefully at some point you'll be able to see that for BREC as well, and that'll help maintain the trust that we've gained from the public and improve in that area as well. Speaking of City Parish, we're working closely with DOTD and City Parish on the bike pedestrian master plan, which is nearing completion. And I'm sure what everyone is here to talk about today, the Greenwood and Zoo master plan as well. And when over 20 construction projects have been completed in the first half of the year, so we're excited about that. Other accomplishments, See, we have audits on here as an accomplishment. That's kind of unusual, but we do welcome feedback. Of course, we have required by the Louisiana Legislative Auditor our annual financial audit, which was completed by law June 30th of this year. Had an unmodified opinion. That's the cleanest opinion you can have. We had a couple findings related to improving our policies and procedures. And we also, as you may have read this morning, the Louisiana Legislative Auditor has been with us the past year as well, performing a performance audit. So our financial auditors look to see if our financial statements are accurately reflected. And the Louisiana Legislative Auditor over the last 12 months have been looking to look at our operations. Are we performing in an efficient and effective manner? That report is released today, should be online. It provides 10 recommendations, and we were happy in a sense that 7 of those recommendations were previously already identified internally by us and things that we have been working on. Other accomplishments, just to talk, get through these quickly. We've been working on improving our Gulf operations. We sort of have a guide for that from the National Gulf Foundation, presented us their recommendations in 2015. Most of those recommendations are improving the courses, and so we've done a lot of work on improving the courses that we have, just improving that overall customer experience. You can see the stats that we have here. I know a lot of people want to talk about the number of rounds played, but that's not really the number we look at. We look at revenue per round, expenses per round. You can see those are both trending in a positive fashion, and ultimately decreasing the subsidy that the taxpayers provide. We believe golf is more of a private benefit than a community benefit. Certainly there are some community benefits, but typically when one plays golf, he's helping himself out or herself out more than they're helping the community out. So we want that to be closer to 100% cost recovery, and right now we're at about 62%. But you can see we're moving in the right direction there, from 57 to 62%, and we'll talk more about golf later on. These are some more golf numbers, specifically by course. Baton Rouge Zoo, big plans for Baton Rouge Zoo coming up, but we did want to share that this year both attendance and revenue are up compared to last year. I think that's a testament to the staff that we have there. It's often a challenge to get people to come to the zoo when we haven't made significant improvements in such a long time. So the fact that attendance and revenue is up speaks to the customer experience that the staff is providing there. Other, I think I may have skipped one. Oh, maybe not. Recreation, we just finished summer camp, served over 8,000 employees, revenue of just a little over $750,000 for the summer. We had free swimming lessons for the first time, and that turned out well. Over 500 children taught how to swim, and over 5,300 kids participated in our what we call open swim, which again, historically, there was a small fee, but we provided that service free of charge as well. Liberty Lagoon, you see the attendance number there, the number of people that used the simulated surfing machine, several birthdays there, and camps. A lot of camps bring their camps to Liberty Lagoon during the summer, and so had over 283 camps that came to Liberty Lagoon. Additional accomplishments, this is what I was looking for earlier in terms of what the zoo has accomplished. Recognized as Louisiana Wildlife Federation's Conservation Organization of the Year for a Frog Watch program. Baton Rouge has more than 32 different species of frogs, and we had volunteers to help us go out and identify them. And as a result, we won the Wildlife Federation's Conservation Organization of the Year. Also a great program at the zoo we refer to as Project ARC, where we bring animals to kids in public, parochial, as private schools as well. Nearly 1,200 students have been served with that. Summer camps, popular for all of our special facilities, but especially the zoo, sold out again. Just as a reminder, we have a discount day at the zoo on Wednesdays from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. I think the cost is $1.50, and that has increased by 8% this year as well. And safari nights, where you can actually spend the night in the zoo, that has gone up to 484 participants, almost an increase, well over 100% increase from last year. Accomplishments, that says the Baton Rouge Zoo, but that's actually BREC-wide. We talk about some of the accomplishments. The board approved a compensation plan. We do a compensation plan at BREC. Compensation study, I should say, at BREC every 3 or 4 years, just to make sure we're paying our employees what the market demands. And while the consultants said that we were sort of in alignment with most of the market, they did point out that our part-timers were paid a little less than what the market demanded. So while currently we have a I guess minimum wage, for lack of a better term, or the lowest we pay is about $8.50. The consultants recommended, the board accepted and approved increasing that amount to $10 per hour for our part-time employees, and even some full-time employees that were not being paid we're only being paid $8.50. We're also working on a diversity study. Similar to City Parish. In fact, we're using the same consultant that City Parish is using to go out and look at the availability and capability of women-owned, minority-owned, small businesses, veteran-owned businesses, and looking at the availability and capability, but also looking at what we have used historically and trying to determine if there's a disparity between what's available and what we're actually using. Assuming there is a disparity, we look for them to bring recommendations back to us, as well as City Parish, on how we can close that gap by making sure we are spending our dollars as equitable as we receive them. We receive them from everybody. We should be spending them with everybody. Partnerships, nearly over 100. Some of the big ones we've had just since the year has started. Our Lady of the Lake contributed over $350,000 for improvements at the Burbank Soccer Complex. Working with City Parish and DOTD on the Bike and Pedestrian Master Plan. The CEO Mind Foundation is a new cooperative endeavor agreement we entered into. We have 59 recreation centers. A lot of them aren't used as much as we would like them to be used. And then there's all these nonprofits out there who are looking for a space to use. And so CEO Mind Foundation is one of those organizations that we partnered with to help us out at Blueberry. And that's a benefit all the way around because they take over the operations and maintenance of that facility, reducing our costs. But they also use it to bring more kids to the facility, and that's ultimately what we're looking for as well. So that's been a great partnership in this first 6 months of the year. Bel Air High School, we had some students that actually come in and help us design improvements to a park that was near their campus. So a great partnership with East Baton Rouge Schools and working with those high school students to redesign Tams Drive's park. And so here's the construction and planning update that I will go through pretty quickly so that we can get to the question and answer portion of the meeting. Sort of a mid-year review. You see the bridge out near the Ochsner facility that we work with Ochsner to get that bridge. You see a croquet court at City Park. Upper left-hand corner, you see a ribbon cutting at Cunard Park, which is right off of Highway 19. Here's a detailed list of 20 projects that we've completed just since January. Many of them started prior to this year, but were completed this year. includes a lot of neighborhood parks. We have over 151 neighborhood parks, and although our focus over the last 10 years has been on community parks where we can serve more people, we also understand that historically we've been a neighborhood park system, and we need to continue to update and maintain our neighborhood parks. Just more information on projects currently under construction. See if anything, Jackson Community, Greenwood, Waterfront expansion. Here's some parks. Forest Community Park was damaged by the flood of 2016. In late 2018, we finally got the green light from FEMA to move forward. And so you see we're going to have a new entrance there. We're adding additional space, air conditioning, the gym, as well as all the space there. Church Street was also damaged by the flood. Adding additional space there, as well as air conditioning the facility. Lovett Road, likewise, damaged by the flood. This is in Central, Churches in Zachary. And so additional space, new air condition. 14th Street Park, near downtown, historically has served as sort of a boxing facility. We're making improvements there. Here's the lighting and champion fields at Burbank. We've worked with not only Our Lady of the Lake, but the BREC Foundation to get a championship field with a fence around the field, as well as some bleachers. Continue to do all sorts of trails. Here's the Bluebonnet extension from Bluebonnet to Essen, ultimately to Siegen. Woodlawn Acres. We're actually going to have a cricket court here. Who knew they had cricket players in Baton Rouge? But a group did approach us and offered to provide most of the funding to have a cricket pitch. And so it's going to be our first in our system. Excited about that. Highland Road Park Disc Golf Course. Disc golf is a popular sport in our community. And so we're improving the course at Highland Road. Hamilton Avenue, also damaged by the flood. Greenwood, we're adding additional space to Greenwood, one of our most popular facilities, that waterfront building where we will be having the unveiling of the master plans for both the zoo and the park later on this week, August 17th, Saturday at 10 a.m. Construction bids nearing completion. Frenchtown Conservation Area, we're going to be issuing an RFP to build a new conservation center out at Frenchtown Road. That's in Central. Playground shades at Community Greenwood. See many projects in the planning and design phase. Improving our dog park, which is well used at City Park. Working with Todd Graves to improve that park, as well as add an additional park you see at Lovett Road in the Central community. Will be our first dog park in Central. Other projects, Jackson Community Park, new recreation center and playground to come there. Here are some system-wide projects and master plans. We're working on implementing GIS. We talked about the ADA signage plan. We talked about the bike and pedestrian plan. These are all plans we're working parish-wide with many partners to help accomplish. One of the things I'm really excited about that BREC is working on as well is the stormwater resiliency plan. And we want to be more in the conversation about how parks can reduce the risk of flooding in our community. So we're working with the Army Corps, working with the state, working with the city, working with other cities. We had a big press conference last week at one of our parks where the mayor, the governor were there to announce the state's help in terms of helping the city secure the matching funding for some flood mitigation projects. So we're involved in that as well. New sign and branding standards. Here's some input from Frenchtown Conservation. Airline Highway Safe Room. This is actually a mitigation project, and we have 3 of these out for a proposal through the city with FEMA, and this is one that actually was approved. We're going to have what FEMA refers to as a safe room, and it's 99.9% of the time it'll be a recreation center with 3 basketball courts and an indoor facility to practice soccer. But when a disaster strikes, this will be used for emergency personnel, just emergency personnel. I want to make that clear. It's not a shelter per se, but emergency personnel. And so we applied for one of these through FEMA. FEMA's providing, I believe, 80%, and we have a 20% match. We applied for this at Memorial Stadium as well as Greenwood Community Park as well, and are optimistic that we're going to get those approved as well. We talked about the bike and pedestrian master plan, and now the moment we've all been waiting for, Greenwood and the zoo master plans. The success of any great master plan or any park and recreation agency, and why I believe we've been successful, is because of the community engagement piece, and no different here. We've had a lot of discussions about the zoo in Greenwood, a lot of public discussions, but certainly since the beginning of the year, we've had a lot of public input in terms of asking the public what do they want to see at Greenwood Park, as well as what they want to see at the Baton Rouge Zoo. And this is just a slide depicting that. We had a scientific survey, over 500 people. I can't remember the exact number, but based on the number of people that live in your zip code, we touched every zip code in the parish to hear from the public on this. The guiding principles from the master plan, 4 guiding principles: celebrate Louisiana nature. We want to focus on how great that 660-acre park is in terms of ecology and some of the things that are unique to Louisiana's nature. A park for every day and the big day. We want the park to serve the community that surrounds it. So if they want to go to the park every day, they have the ability to do that, but also set the park up in such a position that it can host these big events as well. Open up and reach out. That's talking about the connectivity with the community that surrounds it. So we'll have a lot of trails that allows the community to easily access that park. And welcome and grow was the final one, putting the community at the heart of the park's design. So in May, we had these public meetings where we had these 3 different designs. EBR Heart was one, Braided Bayou was another, and Eco Constellation was the third. And we asked the community not which one of these you like, but which aspects of each design do you like. And we took that information and we incorporated that into our final master plan, which will be shared August 17th. Just to give you an inside look at what you can expect to see on August the 17th, just a few of the slides that the designers have been working on. These are all related to the park. You see a promenade, sort of boardwalk that will connect all the way from the lake at Greenwood, and you can walk all the way up to the entrance of the zoo, which will now be on the back end of what's called the zoo now. And you see a playground at the bottom right-hand corner. Adventure Playground was the #1 requested amenity, and just an idea of what a new entrance could potentially look like is this last slide here. As this new entrance will have more air-conditioned space than we currently have now at the zoo, to host classrooms, a new gift shop, as well as house our office space. It'll be, right now, you go to the zoo and the administrative offices are at the back of the zoo. It'll be great to have the administrative offices right at the front of the zoo so questions could be answered immediately. And with that, I'll open it up to questions. And I got to remember to repeat the questions.
The audit from the Louisiana Legislative Auditor, and your feeling about that.
Yeah, so we always welcome people to take a look at what we're doing. In fact, part of the reasons I think we're have been successful over 70 years is that engagement piece, sort of receiving feedback. So we welcome as much scrutiny. Scrutiny may not be the right word, but review of our operations, because we always want to get better. So we appreciate what the Louisiana Legislative Auditor did. We thought it was a little bit extra because we already are currently reviewed by so many different organizations. We didn't believe it was necessary, but we're glad that they came and took a look, and they gave us some recommendations that will absolutely help us get better.
You mentioned Greenwood Park. Give us an update, kind of an overview on what you're going to be looking at there.
Yeah, so Greenwood Park is the largest park in BREC's inventory, 660 acres of great, I want to say lush land. Our zoo is located there as well. So just making it really, we hope to be a regional park that will attract people from all over Louisiana to come and see an adventure playground unlike any other. Potential to participate in kayaking on the water at a greater level, zip lining, and all sorts of team building opportunities, but also what we refer to as a new and reimagined zoo. This will be a new zoo, unlike what we've seen here in the parish or in the state by any other zoo. So we're very excited about all of the improvements, including the change of the entrance to the zoo, which we heard a lot of public input on that. So,
what is your vision for the zoo? What would you like to see happen in this area?
I would like the zoo to become continue to be the great educational and conservation facility it is to help the community connect with nature and animals. Most of us don't have the means to go to Africa or South America or any of those places like that, but by having a zoo, you get a feel of what those places look like, not only from an animal perspective, but the people that live there as well. So we just want it to continue being a great educational and conservation focus area, as well as a great entertainment area as well. Most people nowadays go to zoos, they don't spend much time looking at animals. So we understand that, and we have to make it a great entertainment complex as well, because people have to decide whether to spend their dollars to come there. So looking forward to it.
What would you like the public to keep in mind about all the efforts that are going on at BREC?
No, we're just working hard to be able to serve the public at an optimal level. Excellence is one of the values that we espouse as a park and recreation agency, and so we want to continue to be great in everything we do. Excellence is sort of the standard, and so those efforts are ultimately to serve the people who give us their tax dollars. They trust us with their tax dollars, and so we need to be able to deliver on that, because if we believe in our mission, we know that what we do changes lives, and we know it's that important. So these efforts are all well worth it.